What if I told you that one quiet ceremony in Japan could change the balance of power in the South China Sea? Not tomorrow, not years from now, but starting the moment a single warship raises a new flag. This is not a rumor. This is not speculation. On July 21st, 2025, a veteran Japanese warship prepares to sail, not home, but into a new chapter under the Philippine flag. Why does this matter? Why are defense analysts watching closely? And why could this be the most important naval transfer in Philippine history? Stay with us, because by the end of this video, you'll understand why this ship is more than steel. It's a message. July 21st, 2025. At Sasebo Kurajima Pier in Japan, a warship rests quietly against the dock. The sea is calm, the air is heavy with anticipation. This vessel is not abandoned, it is not forgotten, and it is certainly not obsolete. It is a veteran, steel shaped by decades of patrols, paint maintained with the discipline of a navy that never cuts corners. A ship that has watched the tides of history change, and now stands on the edge of another turning point. Today is not just an open house. It is a farewell and a beginning. Crowds gather along the pier. Sailors, families, defense officials, observers from allied nations. Cameras click, flags flutter. And above it all, one truth becomes clear. This warship is about to sail under a new banner, the Philippine flag. This is the story of a transfer that may reshape maritime power in Southeast Asia. A story not only about steel and sensors, but about alliances, strategy, and national resolve. Welcome aboard, the ship that refused to fade. This vessel belongs to the Abukuma-class destroyer escort, a class designed by Japan at the twilight of the Cold War. Commissioned between 1989 and 1993, these ships were born into a world divided by ideology, submarines lurking beneath the waves, and silent cat and mouse games across the Pacific. Japan built the Abukuma-class with one mission in mind: protect the seas, hunt submarines, guard the nation. Compact yet powerful, these destroyer escorts were engineered to be fast, quiet, and deadly, especially against underwater threats. They were never meant to be showpieces. They were meant to work, and they did, by the numbers. A compact powerhouse. Let's take a closer look at what makes this ship exceptional. Displacement, approximately 2,000 to 2,550 tons. Length, around 109 meters. Top speed, up to 27 knots. For a vessel of its size, that speed matters. It allows rapid response, extended patrols, and the ability to operate alongside larger fleets. But it's what lies beneath the deck that truly defines the Abukuma-class. Weapons and sensors. Built for the hunt. These ships were designed for anti-submarine warfare, but they are far from one-dimensional. Their systems include advanced sonar arrays for detecting underwater threats, Harpoon anti-ship missiles for surface combat, Mark 32 torpedo tubes for close-range ASW engagements, 76mm naval gun for surface targets and air defense, CIWS, close-in weapon system, the last line of defense against incoming missiles. Even today, decades after commissioning, this configuration remains relevant, and perhaps most striking of all, despite being over 30 years old, the ship displayed during its final open house appeared better maintained than many active warships in other navies. That is the hallmark of Japanese naval discipline. Japan is retiring all 6 Abukuma-class ships, replacing them with newer, more advanced platforms. But retirement does not mean retirement from relevance. Instead of scrapping these vessels, Japan chose a different path. A strategic path, a cooperative path, one that leads directly to the Philippine Navy. For decades, the Philippine Navy has struggled with limitations, aging platforms, limited endurance, and a focus on coastal patrol rather than blue water operations. Many of its ships were designed for law enforcement, not deterrence. But the strategic environment has changed. Threats no longer stop at the shoreline. They operate far offshore, beneath the waves, above the horizon, and across contested sea lanes. And this is where the Abukuma-class enters the picture. This transfer is not a commercial sale. It is a government-to-government security assistance transfer. That distinction matters. Japan is not simply offloading old ships. It is making a strategic investment in regional balance. The acquisition cost, virtually zero. The Philippines will spend primarily on transport, refitting, training, and system integration. Estimated cost, around $200 million per ship, or roughly $3.5 million USD. To put that into perspective, a brand new warship with similar capabilities could cost P12 to $18 billion. This is not just affordable, it's transformational. This transfer does not exist in isolation. Over the past decade, Japan and the Philippines have steadily strengthened their defense relationship. Consider the milestones: donation of TC-90 training aircraft, delivery of patrol vessels to the Philippine Coast Guard, expanded maritime training programs, and joint exercises and capacity-building initiatives. And now, a reciprocal access agreement allowing closer military cooperation. The Abukuma transfer represents a new level of trust. For the first time since World War II, Japan is expected to transfer major naval combatants to another nation. And the recipient is the Philippines. This move sends multiple messages, loud and clear. To allies, the Philippines is serious about maritime defense. To partners, Japan is willing to support not just humanitarian missions, but real deterrence. To the region, the balance of power is evolving. And to any nation watching the South China Sea closely, this is not business as usual. The South China Sea is no longer just a trade route. It is a theater of pressure. Gray zone tactics, maritime militia swarms, Coast Guard shadowing, artificial structures, constant surveillance. For the Philippines, these challenges are daily realities. Resupply missions are harassed. Access to sovereign features is contested. International rulings are ignored. The need for credible maritime presence has never been greater. This is where the story truly begins. Not with a ship at a pier, but with a nation at a crossroads. The Abukuma-class is not the final answer. But it may be the bridge. A bridge between past limitations and future capability. Between coastal defense and blue water presence. Between vulnerability and resolve. As the sun sets over Kurajima Pier, the ship remains still. But not for long, because once the flag changes, everything changes. When we talk about warships, it's easy to focus on hardware. The steel, the missiles, the radar systems. But ships do not change history on their own. Doctrine does. Strategy does. Intent does. And for the Philippines, intent has finally been written into policy. For much of its modern history, the armed forces of the Philippines faced inward insurgency, terrorism, internal instability. The Navy reflected that reality. Small patrol craft, short-range missions, limited endurance at sea. It was a force built to protect coastlines and not contested oceans. But the world changed, and the threats moved outward. In the West Philippine Sea, pressure became constant. Foreign vessels loitered near reefs, shadowed resupply missions, blocked access without firing a single shot. This was not conventional war. This was gray zone pressure, a slow, deliberate attempt to exhaust resolve. And it worked. For a time, the Philippines found itself defending vast waters with ships never designed for sustained presence. Presence, after all, is power at sea. And absence is invitation. Enter Rehorizon 3. Rehorizon 3 is not just another modernization phase. It is a strategic pivot. For the first time, the AFP modernization program places external defense at the center of planning. That means long-range sensors, anti-ship capability, anti-submarine warfare, interoperability with allies, and sustained operations beyond coastal waters. In simple terms, the Philippines is no longer preparing only to respond. It is preparing to deter. This is where the Abukuma-class destroyer escort becomes more than a transfer. It becomes a tool of doctrine. These ships were designed from the keel up to operate in open seas. They are not fast attack craft. They are not patrol boats. They are escorts. Vessels meant to protect convoys, hunt submarines, and maintain presence over long distances. That role fits perfectly into Rehorizon 3. One of the least discussed, but most critical, aspects of modern naval conflict is the undersea domain. Submarines do not announce themselves. They observe, they listen, they wait. In the deep waters near the Bashi Channel and the edges of the West Philippine Sea, undersea activity is increasing. And for years, the Philippine Navy had limited ability to detect or respond. The Abukuma-class changes that equation. With dedicated sonar systems and torpedo capability, these ships give the Navy something it has long lacked: eyes and ears below the surface. Deterrence does not require firing weapons. It requires being seen. An escort operating hundreds of miles from shore sends a clear signal: these waters are watched. Every patrol extends sovereignty. Every transit asserts rights. And every joint operation builds credibility. The Abukuma-class allows the Philippines to maintain that presence, not just occasionally, but consistently. Modern naval power is not solitary, it is networked. Exercises like Balikatan and multilateral patrols demand platforms that can keep up, not just physically, but technologically. These ships are compatible with allied operating concepts. With proper upgrades, they can share data, coordinate movements, and integrate into combined task groups. That matters, because interoperability is not just convenience, it is deterrence multiplied. Let's talk reality. Defense budgets are finite. Every peso spent on one capability is a peso not spent elsewhere. That's why this transfer is strategically brilliant. For a fraction of the cost of new construction, the Philippines gains blue water-capable hulls, proven systems, and immediate operational value. These ships do not replace future frigates or corvettes. They bridge the gap, they buy time. Time for domestic shipbuilding, time for procurement, time for training. Ships are only as effective as the crews that operate them. For Filipino sailors, serving aboard a vessel designed and maintained under Japanese naval standards is transformative. It introduces new operational discipline, advanced maintenance culture, and complex multi-role mission planning. This experience cannot be simulated, it must be lived. And the sailors who serve aboard these ships will carry that knowledge forward to future platforms, future commands, future doctrine. Traditionally, the Philippine Navy has been described as a brown water force, coastal, not riverine, near shore, but identities evolve. With platforms like the Abukuma-class, the Navy begins to transition towards something new, a green water Navy, capable of operating effectively in regional seas, not a fleet built for conquest, but one built for defense, stability, and presence. Every military action communicates. This transfer communicates several things at once. To allies, the Philippines is investing in its role as a responsible maritime partner. To partners, Japan is willing to support security beyond humanitarian assistance. To observers, regional balance is no longer static. And to those who rely on pressure rather than dialogue, the Philippines is not standing still. Let's be clear, these ships are not invincible. They are not new, they will require careful maintenance, logistical planning, and selective upgrades. Spare parts must be secured, systems must be integrated, crews must be trained thoroughly. But none of these challenges are deal breakers. They are manageable, especially with Allied support and phased planning. With proper care, these ships can serve another decade or more. That timeline is critical. It aligns perfectly with future frigate programs, long-term modernization goals, and expanded defense partnerships. In strategy, timing matters as much as capability, and the timing here is almost perfect. Perhaps the most important shift is psychological. For too long, maritime incidents placed the Philippines in a reactive posture. Responding, protesting, documenting a presence changes that dynamic. It allows the Navy to set conditions, not just respond to them. That is the true value of platforms like the Abukuma-class. This transfer is not about catching up overnight. It is about changing direction, from limited reach to extended presence, from vulnerability to visibility, from reaction to initiative. And yet, ships and strategy are only part of the story, because there is something deeper at work here, something no specification sheet can measure: pride, professionalism, and the belief that the Philippines belongs at sea. There are things a warship can do, and things it can represent. Radar can detect targets, missiles can deter threats, engines can push steel through water, but none of those explain why a ship matters to a nation. For the Philippines, this transfer is not just about capability. It is about belief. Imagine the moment Filipino sailors step onto the deck of a warship designed for blue water operations. Not as visitors, not as observers, but as its crew. They learn systems once out of reach. They stand watch on a bridge built for ocean patrols. They operate under standards forged by one of the world's most disciplined navies. For many, this will be the most capable ship they have ever served on, and that changes people. When the Philippine flag is raised aboard this vessel, it will not erase its past. It will build upon it. Decades of Japanese naval tradition, maintenance discipline, operational precision, quiet professionalism, will carry forward under new colors. This is how navies grow, not only by buying ships, but by inheriting culture. National pride is often dismissed as symbolism, but in military service, symbolism matters. Pride improves morale. Morale improves performance. Performance improves deterrence. A sailor who believes in their ship stands watch differently. And a navy that believes in itself sends a message no radar can hide. Once operational, these vessels will not remain idle. Expect to see them in joint exercises with allies, in multinational patrols, in maritime security operations, and in presence missions near contested waters. Not for provocation, but for visibility. Because visibility changes calculations. Certain areas define maritime strategy. The approaches to the Bashi Channel, the waters near Scarborough Shoal, key sea lanes linking the Pacific and Southeast Asia. These are not just geographic features, they are pressure points. And presence at pressure points matters. With upgrades, these ships can integrate into allied networks. That means shared situational awareness, coordinated patrols, faster response times, and better crisis management. In modern naval operations, the side that sees first and shares fastest holds the advantage. The Abukuma-class gives the Philippines a seat at that table. This transfer does not threaten, it communicates. It says, the Philippines is upgrading. The Philippines is not isolated. The Philippines is planning long-term. Deterrence is not confrontation, it is clarity. To partners like the United States, Japan, Australia, and others, the message is equally clear. Manila is ready. Ready to contribute, ready to coordinate, ready to operate alongside regional navies as an equal participant. Partnerships work best when all sides bring capability to the table. No serious analysis avoids reality. These ships are over 30 years old. Maintenance costs will rise. Some systems may be outdated. Spare parts will require careful sourcing. Integration will take effort, but these are not surprises. They are known variables, and known variables can be managed. Solutions already exist. Selective modernization, focused mission profiles, industry support from Japanese contractors, and training assistance from retired JMSDF personnel. This is not about pushing these ships beyond their limits. It is about using them wisely. Perhaps the greatest value of this transfer is time. Time to build domestic shipbuilding capacity, procure next-generation platforms, train officers and enlisted leaders, and develop doctrine aligned with modern maritime threats. In strategy, time is currency. And this transfer buys the Philippines time. The Filipino Navy is no longer defined solely by what it lacks. It is increasingly defined by what it is becoming. A force that operates beyond the horizon, understands undersea threats, works seamlessly with allies, and maintains presence where it matters. The Abukuma-class does not complete that transformation, but it accelerates it. When future historians look back, they may not focus on tonnage or missile counts. They may focus on moments. Moments when decisions were made, moments when partnerships deepened, moments when a nation chose not to wait, but to act. This may be one of those moments. For citizens watching from shore, this transfer represents something simple and powerful. Progress. Not overnight, not perfect, but real ships that can stay at sea longer. Sailors trained for modern missions. A navy aligned with national interests. To young Filipinos considering service, this is the future you are stepping into. A navy that values professionalism. A force that matters regionally. A mission that extends beyond the coastline. Service at sea has meaning again. These ships will eventually retire, all ships do. But what they leave behind matters more than how long they sail. They will leave behind trained sailors, tested doctrine, stronger partnerships, and a new baseline for capability. That legacy will shape every ship that follows. This is not about catching up. It is about standing firm. Not about escalation, but about presence. Not about conflict, but about choice. The choice to defend maritime rights. The choice to invest in readiness. The choice to believe that the Philippines belongs at sea. And that brings us to the end of today's story. A single ship, a new flag, and a quiet but powerful shift at sea. This isn't about hype, it's about awareness. Because the future of maritime security isn't decided overnight. It's shaped by moments like this, choices like this, and people willing to pay attention. If this video helped you see the bigger picture, if it gave you clarity instead of noise, then you're already part of this journey. Take a moment to like the video. It really helps the channel reach more people who care about real defense and security issues. And if you want more stories like this, like clear, grounded, and focused on what truly matters, subscribe and stay with us. This is Global Root, always watching. For Flag, for Fleet, and for the Filipino.